Get ready for Oskaloosa High School sports on the Indians Network. Live sports. Local content. Student-run broadcasts. MCG, Oski News, and KIIC bring you the Indians Network. Presented by Craig Ford.
Welcome, everyone, to the Indians Corner on the Indians Network, powered by Oskaloosa News and KIIC, as well as MCG. And we want to welcome everybody here. I'm Joe Millage, in for Jamie Brockman, who is off this week. We've got an exciting show planned for you, as we'll have Coach Jake Jenkins, head coach of the Oskaloosa Indians football team. He'll be in to talk to us about that exciting win over Newton last Friday night. Had us all on the edges of our seats as that one became close down to the wire. We'll talk to him a little bit about him going back to his alma mater, coaching against his brother and what that was like. And of course, that's where John Jenkins, his dad, coached for so many years at Newton. But the big questions will come regarding the next game on the schedule, and that's the game up the road, up towards Pella. Both teams are 2-0, and this game on Friday night will be a tough one, and it will be an important one. We'll talk to Coach Jenkins about that. He's coming up. We'll also talk to Jennifer Comfort, and a huge win over Pella last week with the volleyball team, now ranked 10th in Class 4A. A lot of excitement going on in that area with our volleyball team, and I know Jennifer is really excited about that as well. Maybe more excited about just turning 35. So happy birthday to Jennifer as she comes in and talks to us today. And then Coach Mike Comfort, head coach of the boys and girls cross-country teams, had some successes at the Knoxville Invitational last week, and getting ready for the Centerville Invitational. So, action-packed show for you today. We want to thank Wendell Campbell, State Farm, as well as your Oskaloosa Hy-Vee for sponsoring today's Indians Corner. We'll be back right after this.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! Unanimous decision.
Hy-Vee! This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve with home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Welcome back to the Indians Corner. I'm Joe Millage, in for Jamie Brockman this weekend on the Indians Network, and I'm pleased to have the winning head coach, Jake Jenkins, with us. Coach, congratulations. First of all, you've got to be coming off a pretty big high after that win at Newton.
For sure. It was a roller coaster. There's a lot of ups and downs and all arounds, and it was a district game, and it was our second district game, and it was kind of a homecoming of sorts for me, growing up 2 blocks away from that stadium and growing up on that field. It was a lot of fun, though. In the spirit of competition, I'd look across the field, my brother's there, and we're looking at each other and kind of giving each other a little bit of grief, and we've been talking about the game for a long time. But it was a lot of fun, and I felt like our guys did a good job executing offensively and defensively. We had a blunder or 2 on special teams with a block punt, but overall, our guys fought till the end, and it was a great night under the Friday night lights, and it was a great district win.
Your dad, of course, the story's been your dad, legendary coach John Jenkins. There, I think the visitors' locker room was designated or honored as the John Jenkins locker room. Is that right?
Yeah. So in 2002, which would have been my senior year of football, there's the locker room for the for the home team. And so it's a really nice facility that they built for varsity and then the JV 10th grade and 9th grade. So it's really nice that they did that, and then they named it after him because he was a longtime coach, and he really was a huge Newton supporter all the way to the end. So really nice gesture that they did. And so seeing that and walking by that, of course, is sparking a lot of memories. Coach Ergenbright took over for Dad 17 years ago, and this is his 17th year. So there's a lot of those things going on, and I'm thinking, man, if I've been out that long, and Coach E is like a second dad to me too. So going against him was really special. He's an outstanding person and a great coach. So it was just overall, it was a great night. It was one of those special moments that I'll remember forever.
We're talking with Coach Jake Jenkins, and Coach, before we get into the mechanics of the game and the awesome win, talk a little bit about that. Some of the emotion. I know you were on Channel 13, had an interview there, and being on the visitor side for the first time, looking back at the home crowd. What was that like?
It was different. I walked out on the track, and I was a four-sport athlete in high school, and I was thinking about the 400 low hurdles, and I was thinking about the different relays I took part in, and of course you look at the football field, and it immediately sparks memories. I played offense and defense in high school, and defense I ended up playing free safety, and a lot of those memories were looking back at the home crowd when you're getting that signal and it's just packed. Just really good fans. They show up, and then the ticket holders, they actually pass them down through the generations as they go, which is just, it's incredible the amount of support that they've had for so long. So looking back there, it brought back a lot of memories. But in the spirit of competition, as you get locked and loaded and you start, the bullets start flying, it's like, how are we going to stop them? A couple times I looked over and I saw my brother and Coach Ergenbright calling those plays, and it dawned on me again, I'm literally calling plays to combat what they are doing on offense. And a lot of what they do on offense is brought down through what Dad did. And so like the quick pitch and the pitch dive and the 36-37 power and a lot of those things, I was calling the plays. They have a new age spin on them because the game has changed, but those were all descended from what Dad did and what Dad created years ago.
Outstanding. Well, talking about the play calling, you guys jumped out to a very quick start in the first half.
We did. Coach Dow did a great job. The offensive staff, they're looking at where the weaknesses are, and they're exploiting them. And we're working with new quarterbacks, and it was nice having Will back. We gave the nod to Tyler Miller because he was doing an excellent job. Our offensive line took some steps forward this week as well, and they've really gelled, and we're more physical up front. So I really like what they did over the course of the week, and you could see it in practice. Us gradually get more physical and make less mistakes. And overall, we felt really good going into the game offensively, considering all the injuries that we've had.
Well, I'm really looking forward to talking about Pella coming up this weekend, and our viewers are very interested in that game as well. Big game coming up. But you must have felt a little sorry for your alma mater in the second half. You let them catch up a little bit and make a game of it. 21 unanswered points in the second half, and most of those, I think, in the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken. But the game got close in the second half.
Too close for comfort. I didn't ever panic. It didn't surprise me that they made a run. I was just disappointed that we didn't put the game away. At halftime, we talked really, great teams play four quarters, and they bury teams, and they bury good teams. Like Newton's a solid team. If we're going to be a great team, we need to come out in the third quarter, and we need to drive down the field and score, get another big stop, and put the game away. To their credit, they dialed up some really good plays. They got a big punt block, which turned into points right away. Then we had some other things that happened. Then we had a blown coverage for a touchdown. Then we had one was on me too out of one of their sets. I had a call that we had done all week, really shouldn't have been that way. So one I took, and then we made that adjustment on the sideline. But yeah, you got to put those teams away. They're going to keep fighting. Give them credit for fighting and making really good adjustments and making some key plays. That punt block, I think what Urban Meyer always said, he said 90% of the time when you have a punt blocked, that team is either going to lose the game. And so I immediately, when that happened, I thought back to that stat that he used with his teams for so long and how important special teams are. We're going to have to fight through, and we're going to have to be part of that 10%.
You feel like your team didn't panic at all in the second half? It all tied up after leading most of the game. You didn't panic, but how do you feel like the team responded?
I feel like we responded very well, but I do think that they were shocked. They weren't panicking, oh man, this thing's over, but they're like, how did this happen? How did we get to this point? And the whole thing from us, the coaching staff, is that it doesn't matter how we got here, it just matters how we finish the game. We'll talk about it later, but we need to respond, and we need to obviously score some points. And then with defensive guys, the one athlete that got beat on the coverage, as soon as he got beat. I said, it's going to come down. Defense is going to be back out there. And if you're feeling bad for yourself and you feel horrible about giving up those 7 points, it'll happen again. And then that's the play that's going to get us beat. That play right there, it's tied up. It's over. You need to respond. And he was the one that made a play late in the game and batted the ball down to 4th down. So it shows you just got to push through. You got to fight till the end, no matter what.
Well, it was a very exciting last couple minutes. Take us through those last couple minutes, Coach. Was it Colton Butler with the big sack there towards the end? And then, of course, Oskaloosa comes back and scores with a couple minutes left.
We had an excellent drive. I like how we executed, and we moved down the field. We actually scored a lot faster than we had anticipated. We're going to burn clock, take care of the ball. We actually turned the ball over, and we had to get a defensive stop, and then drive, take care of the ball, and then we got down there quicker than we thought. So on one of them, Tyler thought we were in, and the guys thought we were in. We said, it's fine. We don't want to get in yet. We can burn as much of the clock as possible. So we're able to burn clock and wait and patiently. And then finally, Tyler walked right in because they sold out trying to stop the run, and there was a gap wide open. Then we go back on defense, and it's like, okay, here we are again. Again, we gave up some big plays. We need to be solid right now. And they start driving down the field, and there's plenty of time for them to score. At that time, I took a timeout to regroup with the defense, and I also talked to the refs because there had been a lot of questionable holding calls on the edge when they run that quick pitch, 0809 quick pitch to the outside. They're setting the edge, and about half the time there's questionable holds, and our guys are taught to play through that, not complain, just keep fighting through. So during that timeout, we got to regroup. We got a drink of water. We got to talk. We're fine. We have great checks. We're in great coverages. Our defensive line is dominating the line of scrimmage. We're going to get a big stop. After I talked to the guys, I just turned to the white hat and said, please watch the holding, especially on the edge. Talked to the guy on our sideline, trying to just communicate best as possible. Finally, we got the call. So they ran it, and they had a holding call, backed them up in the sticks, and then they were in trouble. And we were playing solid defense, and it was too much for them to come back from. And then with Colton's sack, it was kind of the perfect storm. So it was an accumulation of a lot of things, but being patient and teaching our guys to play through the adversity, play through the holds and things like it's part of the game. You can't complain. If you complain, it ends up happening more, and then you're worried about the holding calls instead of just playing the game. So our guys persevered, and they pushed through. Talk
about that atmosphere after the game. So you've got to walk across the field and shake hands with some, your brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the atmosphere after the game in Newton.
It was. There was a little scuffle, with the victory formation. There's always things that happen. Guys are frustrated, and we had enough time to kneel the ball and be done with it. So there was a little scuffle, and I looked up, and my brother's right in the middle of it, which is funny. It's kind of ironic, and since I was already standing there, I'll lead the way out there. One of their players was upset. I talked to him, said, just keep grinding. You guys could win out. You guys could get in, and he came around and shook hands. And their guys, very good sports. The coaches, Coach Ergenbright gave him a big hug afterwards, the head coach for Newton. Brother, the same way. He was, he congratulated us and wished us the best of luck. And Coach Darren Hurt was a defensive coordinator for my dad, and really good friends with him. I got to see Coach Hurt. He was my D coordinator, so I was D coordinator going against D coordinator. That was pretty special. And then dozens of other people that were associated with the team and still are associated with the team. And there was nothing negative at all. Lots of smiles, lots of hugs. I saw a lot of teary-eyed coaches. And then afterwards, I got to talk to Coach Ergenbright, about some other big picture things, and we were both teary-eyed. And so it's a special moment. I will literally never forget that the rest of my life. And then having my mom there, both brothers were there as well. Family members came back too because they remember all the old Newton games, and so they were all there. So it was a really special moment, a special night for us. And like I said, I'm glad that we ended up winning the game. We're 2-0, and I wish them best of luck moving forward.
And I'm sure they will be wishing you best of luck as well, especially next week. This Friday, as we talk about the Pella game. I'm sure they'll be rooting you on. Casualties out of Friday night: Walker Newman. Knee injury. What can you tell us about Walker?
I don't know a lot yet. It's always tough to see that, and he was upset because he had knee injuries earlier, and so he went down the field. We went out with Laura Norberg, who's our athletic trainer, and basically we don't know what we don't know. So let's try to get you to the sideline. Let's try to be patient. I know it's very tough and it's very frustrating. He's going to have an MRI on Monday, and then we'll get the results. And shout out to Coach Todd Hafner for getting him into an orthopedic surgeon. Sooner than later, he got him in really quick. So they worked with Coach Haff, and he got him into one of the best around. So they're going to be going up there Monday.
A win against Newton on the road last Friday night. We got to go on the road again to Pella. When we come back after this quick timeout, we're going to talk about the 4-2 Oskaloosa Indians, 2-0, taking on a 2-0 this Friday night. Back right after this on the Indians Corner. All right. Good, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just get right into to Pella. That's
Perfect.
all right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Joe Millage back on the Indians Corner here on the Indians Network. In for Jamie Brockman this week, who has the weekend off. And I've got the head coach of the Oskaloosa Indians, Jake Jenkins. And now we turn our attention to Friday night, another big road game. We're on the road 2-0 against 2-0. Coach, is this the biggest game of the season?
Yeah, it's the next game.
It's the next game.
It is, and that's our philosophy, and that's what we go through, and it is this biggest game of the season because it's the next one.
That's a Jerry Statenism right there.
That is, and I know, Dad he went to William Penn, and so there's a connection there. They do a lot of the same things with the numberings of the whole calls and things, and I took a theory of coaching football class with Coach Staten, and I felt like I was talking to my dad. It was amazing. So a lot of respect for Jerry, and yeah, they have the same philosophy, and that's carried through to me, and then with all the other Oski Indians who are on the coaching staff still.
Well, as we're midweek here in this week, you've had a chance to look at some game film. What do you see so far?
I see a lot of different formations, and I see a solid football team. There are definitely chinks in the armor, and that's what we're looking for when we watch film. So Coach Dowd, the offensive staff, are looking at where are the weaknesses on defense, and our defensive staff, we're breaking down as much film as possible so we can see different tendencies and things and what they're trying to do out of the sets that they give us. So they are a solid team, and they're a very well coached team, and I'll say that forever. They're tough. It's going to be a tough opponent, and it's going to be a great atmosphere on Friday, and we're looking to get after them.
What are we going to see anything new out of the Oski Indians on the field this Friday?
I would say with Coach Dowd, you never know what you're going to get. That's kind of the fun part.
It's a box of chocolates right there.
It really is. So with Coach Dowd, he's always dialing up things, and he likes, you throw in a trick play or two. It's kind of fun because the atmosphere during practice is fun as you're throwing, guys catching the ball and doing things that normally don't. Colton Butler had a big play for us. He got the ball pitched to him on Friday for a big first down against Newton. So Coach Dowd is always going to be looking for the weaknesses and then for fun things that we can add on the offensive side. And defensively, we're working really hard right now to figure out the best way to stop them. We'll use some of the tendencies from last year and some of the game plan from last year, but they are a new team every year, and they're giving us a different look and slightly different variations out of some things that they're trying to do. Obviously,
it's a Pella team that's lost twice so far this year. They're beatable.
Oh, yeah. I would say so. And, last year, they're really tough, and that was a fantastic game. That was a game for the record books. And then as soon as we beat them, it was the first time in 5 years in the regular season they'd been beat. People are, oh, they must not be as good. Well, then they go to Xavier, and then Xavier narrowly beats them and goes on and easily wins the state championship. So they were tough last year, and they're tough this year. But like I said, there are chinks in the armor, and it's going to come down to who wants it more and who's going to respond to adversity and who's going to win the line of scrimmage.
So you win in 2018 against Pella at home. How would you say this team is different? The Pella team is different this year from last?
That's a really good question. Well, they don't have a Division I tight end, and last year that was a key component to what we were doing. We really took him out of the game. We're going to try to do the same thing with the tight end that they have now. It's personnel. Coaching is going to be the same. Their personnel, they're kind of like us and they've been trying to find a quarterback, and they've tried different things. They've had a lot of injuries this year, like we have, and so in a way we've fought through a lot of similar situations. So they're figuring things out on offense just like we're figuring things out on offense. They're going to be tough on defense just like we're going to be tough on defense. So special teams will be a big part of the game. And then, like I said, adjustments, and then who's going to respond to the adversity the best.
With 2 games back at home, I believe it is South Tama, and remind me your other
Knoxville.
Name. Knoxville,
yep.
Back home. This is for the district title, right?
Oh, this is definitely for the lead in the district title, and then you keep taking one week at a time, and then you hope that you can finish out. But yeah, this is a huge game. The three bigs, in the district, with Newton, Pella, and Oski, and it's boom, boom, boom for us. We play Newton, then we play Pella. So this is the gauntlet of the district, and we're right in the middle of it right now.
Of course, we'd love for folks to follow along on MCG Channel 7 and the IndiansNetwork.tv. We are video restricted again this weekend But we would really want to have a huge contingency, wouldn't you say, Coach?
Oh,
just drive up a few miles up the road. Pella always brings a great crowd to the game, especially the home games. It's a great home atmosphere for Pella, but with just being 15 miles down the road, this is an opportunity, Oskaloosa, to get on up to Pella and to cheer your Indians to a victory.
Absolutely. I want that support. I want that good old classic feel. You just look and there's just people everywhere. In 16, I walked down on the field in our playoff game and I looked over and there was a line like blocks away from Oski fans that had showed up. And we had a really good game. We had a really good game plan, and we had some calls that went against us, and we had some other things that went wrong. We had a big opportunity to knock off a state champ that night, and fortunately we didn't. I haven't forgot that. This would mean a lot to me to go to their place and beat them on their home turf, and that's what we plan on doing. And the more support we have, the better for that.
Absolutely. Coach, real quick, last question, I think. Are you playing your best football right now?
Yes. Last Friday, we definitely did. I wish we would have played 4 quarters. We let off a little bit in the third, but again, you got to give Newton credit. They blocked a punt. They turned the momentum. They scored on us. We had a blown coverage, but overall, yes, we are playing our best football. And Friday, we need to play even better than we did last Friday.
Coach Jake Jenkins of the Oskaloosa Indians, the 4-2 Oskaloosa Indians, 2-0 in District 7. Head coach of the Heart Attack Kids. That's what we call you after last weekend. That was a fantastic win. Congratulations. Yep. We've got more coming up on the Indians Corner. We're going to talk volleyball and cross country, also a little swimming. Stay right here. And we want to thank our sponsors, Hy-Vee and Wendell Campbell State Farm as well, for bringing you the Indians Corner here on the Indians Network. Back right after this.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve Beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! And the winner by unanimous decision,
MCG was born out of the need for reliable connectivity in rural Iowa. We put small-town values over all else because serving local communities is something we take seriously. We believe in providing world-class service, in giving our communities a chance to succeed, in treating everyone like family. MCG helped pioneer reliable communication services in Iowa, and in doing so, learned how to provide solutions in underserved communities. MCG, world-class service, small-town values.
Back out here on Indians Corner on Indians Network, and Joe Millage in for Jamie Brockman this week, and I am pleased to have birthday girl herself. Jennifer Comfort, a few days ago, celebrated 35. You could be president right now.
I was told that today.
We might need you. Well, what we really need is a victory this week against Indianola. But before we talk about that big matchup, let's talk about the big win over Pella. You know, football is playing Pella this Friday. You guys led the way with a huge win over Pella, 3-1. Tell us a little bit about that matchup.
It was a pretty good match. We knew that Pella's down a little bit this year. They had a great senior class last year. They've had a lot of success with that group over the last couple of years. So we knew that they were really going to have a whole new group of girls there. And we didn't really know who and what positions, but we knew that they were going to bring a fight. They're very well coached. They're very well disciplined, and they always compete. So it was a really good match to go in and just try and play our game the best that we could.
Tell me a little bit about the performances of some of your team members.
The girls did all right. We were a little shaky at times, and I was not really pleased with that. Our services struggled a little bit, and so did our defense, but the team came through. When we needed kills, Taylor stepped up, Faith stepped up. Jess Schushelman had a pretty good night. And one thing that we've really been working on is getting our middles more active, and we were trying to get the ball to both Mary and Emily a whole lot more. So Jolie made some good decisions. We just fought through it as a team.
I've got, 23 kills for Faith Durande?
Probably, yep.
Wow, that's fantastic. And Schushelman with 7, Jolie Yang, several assists. Of course, you need that team all functioning together with assists and digs and kills all together. All right, so we get the win over Pella, and you guys are ranked 10th in 4A. How are the girls dealing with a little bit of this success and fame and being ranked and all of that?
They're really got a they've got a good perspective about it. We've talked about it a couple times, and they talk about how we've had good teams in the past and we haven't had recognition, and maybe there's been teams that we've played before that have had high rankings that we've played really well, and we don't feel that they've been worthy of that ranking. So they understand it's kind of this foggy, how do we get this, how who didn't make these decisions type thing. So they keep it in perspective really, really well. There's some girls that want to know, and there's some girls that just say, don't tell me, doesn't matter. And we talk about how, if people think we're 10th, then we need to play like we're number 10 type thing. So the girls, it's actually, I think, a good motivation to them to keep playing their best and bring in their game every single week.
Good point. 12-7 on the season. 4-0 in, I have that right. 4-0 in the Little Hawkeye Conference. And we were talking off camera just a little bit about, the Pella matchup was a big one.
Yeah.
Indianola is even bigger.
Correct.
Why so?
Well, right now, with everybody's played 5 matches, and so there's 2 matches left. And currently, we are 5-0, and then Indianola and DCG are both 4-1. So
I said 4-0, so you're 5-0.
We are 5-0. It's okay.
I apologize.
Close enough.
Okay.
Close enough. It's
yeah.
okay. So with a win, we would have absolutely sole first place. We'd be 6-0 going into our last week against a PC team that is having a different year with a brand new coach. They are working very hard and getting better every week. So we've got to still finish out that match. But we would be a lot more control of our own destiny if we win this match on Tuesday. So, and the situation would be that us, DCG, and Indianola would all be 5-1 if we were to lose, and we would all have the tiebreaker on each other. We beat DCG beat Indianola, and Indianola's not going to beat us.
Right.
So that would be the circle situation that we would have, and again, that would be a share the conference title, whatever, great, good, grand. But the big thing that we're looking for is that we need that confidence boost and that execution now that it's coming close to postseason. And that's really more what I see in this match is this is a big match. It's important. How do our girls perform? Not just because of the conference situation, but because of postseason.
And tell us a little about the opponent in Indianola. What kind of an opponent will they be for you?
They're going to be just a strong opponent. Again, they're well coached by Coach Kent, and they play tough. We know that they have a couple good hitters. Their defense works really hard. They just bring a full team all the way around.
Well, I am hopeful that folks watched the match last night as this airs on Wednesday, and we got a victory with Indianola. But certainly, I'm sure you would encourage folks to. Is it here?
Yes, it's at home.
Okay,
and it's senior night, so we're going to be celebrating our 7 seniors.
Absolutely, senior night. And anything else you want to add? One of the things that I learned is a little bit about the Orange Crew. Tell us about the Orange Crew, and you may have described it for our viewers prior to this, but tell us a little bit about the Orange Crew, the student section.
So the student section refers themselves to the Orange Crew. Orange is the spirit color for Oskaloosa. Our traditional colors are red, or maroon, white, sometimes black, sometimes some silver thrown in there. But as a fun change up, in the mid-90s or so, they started wearing orange for hunting for a victory. And so the idea is, they wore like the bright orange bib coveralls and hats and that kind of stuff that, hunting gear was made of orange during that time kind of thing. So, just hunting for that victory, just being just full of school spirit, school pride.
Very good. Well, we're very congratulatory to our Oskaloosa Indians volleyball squad, ranked number 10th in 4A, having a great season, and get on out and see them if you get a chance, folks. A lot of excitement, a lot of exciting place to watch there, and a lot of exciting matches to watch. Jen, thanks for coming in, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more on the Indians Corner right after this message.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Oskaloosa. It's our community, and we're thankful to be a part of it. Telling its stories, sharing its smiles. We're building community, keeping you informed, giving you a voice. letting you know you're never alone during the victories and the losses, happiness and pain. For tomorrow's a new day, and we'll be there, working for you, ready to tell your story. That's our commitment. It's what we do, now and in the future, because we're always on. We're Oskaloosa News.
Back on the Indians Corner on the Indians Network, Joe Millage in for Jamie Brockman. Good to be able to talk multiple sports and really a lot of great things going on in our Oskaloosa area athletic programs. We were going to talk cross country right now with Mike Comfort. Coach, congratulations this week. Good week for you. On the road, you went to Knoxville.
Yeah. And the week before, we'd kind of been pretty passive in how we ran. And so the challenge this week was we need to be more aggressive, get out harder, fight better. And I felt the kids really did that. Maybe we probably were a little over-aggressive, but I'd rather be that than too passive. So the boys were fifth, and that was without Braden Van Camp, and went down about a mile into the race with hyperextended his knee. So we're still able to finish fifth out of 15 without him. And girls were 11th out of 15, but I thought we improved a lot. And both teams were young. We're just trying to learn how to race and put everything together. We're looking good in practice. We're just trying to put it all together at one point.
Now, when I ran cross country for Sheraton back in the 80s, at Knoxville, we ran at the golf course.
Yep.
Was that still at the golf course there?
Still there.
There's a killer hill, if I remember right, on, I don't know, what, the back nine or somewhere.
Yeah,
there.
so you're right. So when I ran back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was there, but they've moved it to the other side of the golf course. So there's some hills there, not as tough as when we ran. But it's still hilly, but it can be a fast course. But the pace in general went out quick. The lead guy went out in like 4:50 for a mile, which is just insane, and that pulled everybody along. So it just was fast, but it was good for the kids to learn how to run while uncomfortable.
When you say you want your kids to be more aggressive when they run, what do they put a target on the guy in front of them and go after that one, and then the next guy? How do you be more aggressive in running?
It's a combination of that. We talked about which teams we thought we could match up with, and so we wanted to match up with them. We also give us time goals, which can kind of vary depending on the course. But at Newton, we just kind of went to the back, especially our girls. Our guys were more in the middle back, and we just kind of let everybody just get ahead of us. And when you dig yourself a hole in that first mile, it's just tough to come back from that. So we wanted to be up farther in the race, more attached to certain people, and we were, and it just happened. The whole race went out quick, and it made it a tough third mile, but that's good for the kids to learn from that.
Great performances out of Patrick Durande. I think he finished 15th.
Yep.
I don't know how many ran, but that's
about 200.
Pretty good finish for Oskaloosa, and then the Cadens also did well, if I have that right.
Yep, Caden Gerard, Caden Ayala, and I think 22 for Caden, 33 for Caden Ayala.
Yeah.
Caden Ayala is 33rd, Caden Gerard is 22. So, yeah, we ran pretty well. So we had some good teams like Norwalk and Pella and Grinnell, some very good teams. So I liken that competition to like a district meet level type of competition. And so if you can get the top 15 at districts, you qualify. So Patrick being in 15th gives a good indication of where his fitness level is at. And our girls, we kind of have a three-headed monster of Addie Carter, Sage Adam, Abby Lumsden leading the way. And they led the girls really well.
Addie finished 29th, Sage Adam 41st, and then we had Abby Lumsden 44th. Talk a little bit about the girls' side of the wheelhouse there at Knoxville.
Yeah, about the same thing as the boys. They went out really hard, but they really fought. So again, we're young there. Last year we only had 4 meets because of the weather. So we're still. It's almost like it's their freshman season. They're just trying to learn, and so a little bit of a gap to our 4-5. So we need to work on being a lot closer together. But we're getting there. There's definite improvement from Newton, and hopefully we can keep improving next week when we go to Centerville.
So we checked the Knoxville box. We're again this next week going to Centerville. Where's the course in Centerville then?
So they moved it this year. It used to be at Manhattan Golf Course. This year it's at the Preserve over by Honey Creek.
Oh.
So we haven't run there before. I've talked to some coaches that have been there. It sounds like a nice course. Maybe some inclines is what they said, not hills. So, but I think it should be a good course. Weather looks great. Finally, we've had a lot of hot days in a row, and be about 15 teams there. I think we could finish, hopefully in the top 5, maybe top 3 if we run well.
You talked a little bit about practice. Lay down a typical practice for the cross-country team. And I think a lot of folks know that as for football, as for volleyball, we get on the court, we get on the gridiron, we smack each other around a little bit. What does a typical practice look like for cross-country?
Sure, it depends on the day. So 3 days a week, we do what I call AT runs or aerobic threshold runs, where you're running for longer distances at a comfortable pace. It's not super easy. Like some of our fast guys might run like 7 or 8 minute pace, and maybe 8 or 9 for some girls, and they're running 4, 5, 6, 7. This past week their long one was 9. So just a combination of those for those 3 days, and that develops the aerobic system. Then you have a meet day in there, and then you have 1 or 2 other hard days. We might do intervals like repeat 800s, repeat miles, 400s, anything. That just really helps develop speed. We also do some tempo runs where you might run 3 miles at a hard, solid pace, or we call them canyon runs where each mile has to get faster. So depends on the day. You can't go hard every day because you burn yourself out. So you have a combination of easy or hard days, and you put that all together and you get a cross-country runner.
Absolutely. And Coach, I think one of the best things about cross-country and being able to run throughout the countryside is just the view and the weather. And the weather has really turned for us. This is cross-country weather right now.
I told the team that this week. They were talking about, it's cold. I'm like, this is cross-country weather. We had 3 weeks in the 80s, which is unusual. And I'm excited because the next week, 2 weeks looks great. I think we can really show what we're made of here and just enjoy it. And it's just about being the best you can be. And if we're all, each individual, if we're our best at our meet, our team's going to be great.
Mike Comfort, head coach of the great cross-country teams, boys and girls here at Oskaloosa. Coach, you're going to have to go get your wife and send her in so we can talk a little bit of volleyball. Another great success right there. We'll be back here right after this commercial timeout on the Indians Corner on Indians Network TV. Cool.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve with home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve Beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! And the winner by unanimous decision, Hy-Vee!
Well, that just about wraps it up for Indians Corner for this week. Joe Millage in for Jamie Brockman. He'll be back with us next week. We also were not able to talk to Mackenzie Kaufman this week, the head coach of our swim teams. But some great success from our swim teams at Perry recently as Sophia Dykstra placed second for the first time swimming the 200 freestyle at Perry. Also got second in the 100 breaststroke. So congratulations to Sophia. Ashley Smith placed fourth at Perry in the 100 fly. Now, coming up for the swim teams at the YMCA, the only home meet is Thursday, October 10th. So you want to make sure and get out there. We'll have Keokuk and Williamsburg. And I know Mackenzie, if she was here, she would be encouraging everybody to get out and cheer on the Oskaloosa swim teams. That's Thursday, October 10th, the only home meet right here in Oskaloosa. That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Indians Corner on Indians TV, brought to you by Hy-Vee, as well as Wendell Campbell State Farm, and powered by Oskaloosa News, KIIC Thunder Country, and MCG. We want to thank you so much for watching. We want to thank the Oskaloosa video production team at the Oskaloosa High School for all of their help and assistance, as well as Kim Guile there as well. So long. We'll see you next time on the Indians Corner.
Live sports. Local content. Student-run broadcasts. MCG, Oski News, and KIIC bring you the Indians Network. Presented by Craig Ford.